Welcome to PWS United, a podcast for the Prader-Willi syndrome community, brought to you by PWSA USA. This podcast gives the latest news in research, advocacy, and family support by bringing together staff, volunteers, PWS treatment specialists, biotech and pharmaceutical representatives, caregivers, family members, and individuals with PWS. Our goal is to share education, awareness, and resources with those living with PWS and their supporters. Join us in our mission to enhance the quality of life and empower those affected by Prader-Willi syndrome. All right, well, welcome back to another episode of PWS United. I am your co-host, Carrie, and with me is a special guest who's not really a guest anymore. You're just kind of our other co-host at this point, but it's our amazing CEO, Stacey Ward. Thanks for being here, Stacey.
Thanks for inviting me again. I love that I'm no longer just a guest. I like being here.
Yeah, you're a frequent.
So thank you.
Yeah, a frequent voice on the pod now, for sure.
Well, I will never be as good at this as you and Annie are.
You are amazing, and you always have the best insight, and we really appreciate when you come on so you can share that.
Thank you.
Appreciate you taking the time. But we're going to get into our Pulse from last Friday, volume 145, sent out on April 17th. But before we do that, Stacey, you had a busy weekend and an exciting weekend. And you were telling me a little bit about it before we hit record here, but I would love for you to share some of it with our listeners as well.
Sure. I had a great weekend. So this past weekend in Syracuse, New York, the Prader-Willi Alliance of New York, which is the New York chapter, held their conference. I must admit that I'm a little bit biased as a New Yorker, but I have to tell you, outside of the national conference, this is the best conference. The speakers were amazing. The activities for the siblings and the children and adults with PWS were incredible. They had somebody come in with an alligator. It was
What?
It was very, very cool. There was a guy who brought in a couple different animals, and an alligator just happened to be one of them.
Wow.
Yeah.
Not something you experience ever, almost. Yeah.
Right. The presentations were incredible. The exhibitors were incredible. One of the pharma companies, Harmony, brought a photographer and took family photos, professional family photos for people. So sweet.
So sweet.
So sweet. We had a meet and greet Friday night with raffle baskets and a 50-50 and a chance for parents to just socialize and hang out while there was a dance party.
Oh, fun.
For the activity room with a DJ and some just incredible people. And they had an incredible group of staff running the activity room. And it was such a good conference. And they used to put on conferences like this every year. And then COVID hit and it stopped everything. So last year we did a mini conference and just brought some families together for one day. And then this was back to the conference that they'd done before. And it was so nice. There was 140-ish families.
Oh, nice.
It was a really good turnout.
Yeah.
It was great. And then there's a few of us, you guys will all see and learn a little bit more about this later, but a few of us went and got matching tattoos after the event. It was myself and Amy McDougall and her son, Logan McDougall. And this had started as something that Logan and I were going to do together. We were going to get a matching tattoo together. And Amy joined us, and I can't wait for everybody to see it. It came out incredible, and it was such a special experience.
Yeah. And it directly ties into like PWS, PWSA. So
Sure does.
Yeah, that was amazing that you guys did that and had this plan to do it for a while, and it followed through.
It really started as a joke at first with Logan and I, because he and Amy got matching tattoos together. And I was like, you got one with your mom and not with me? Let's do it. What do you want to do?
I can picture you saying that. That's so funny.
I've known Logan since he was basically born. So it was really special.
Yeah. What a sweet moment. And Logan has a sister. Amy has a daughter with PWS.
Yeah. Many know her. Noelle, she'll be 24 in May. Yeah.
Amazing. I think when I very first started here, she was one of the first kind of spotlight stories that we had put
Mhm.
out, honestly, within the first couple of weeks
Oh,
that I
wow.
started here. And she was, gosh, 19, 18, 19 at that time. So it's amazing to hear you say that time just flies.
It really
But
does. And, the New York conference specifically, because I've been attending since my first conference was when PWSA in New York did the joint conference
mhm.
in Grand Island in 2005. Like, that was my first PWS
Wow.
conference.
Wow.
And I've been watching these kids in New York grow up year after year,
Over 20 years.
over 20 years, and it's
Amazing.
so, so special to watch
hmm
how they've grown.
Yeah, that's really cool.
It
That's
is.
really
I mean,
cool.
I'm only 20, so I don't know how it's been over 20 years, but,
That is the best. Yeah, how? They must be
right.
0 now, yeah.
Have to be.
Have to be. Oh, I love it. Well, I'm so glad you had a great weekend. Can't wait to share the photo and more of the story around the tattoos. Everyone look for that on our socials soon.
Did you do
And
anything fun
yeah.
this weekend?
Yes, I don't even know, it all happened so fast. But we decided, my husband and I, to do like a you only live once YOLO trip to St. Augustine, Florida to see our favorite band. So that was so fun. And my brother and sister-in-law were there who we never really get to see. It's rarely get to travel with. And it was just the four of us. And we did a ghost tour because it's the oldest city in
How
the
fun.
US. And we learned some awesome ghost stories. I sat in a haunted bathtub. It was an experience. Yeah.
And did you leave with a spirit? Because that's always,
So
like, what I'm worried about when
So
I do these
funny.
things.
Yeah, we honestly kind of were walking back, and you have to walk back, past, like, one of the oldest cemeteries that has, like, 8,000 people buried in it or something. Oh my gosh. And we were felt so spooked. We all had, like, bad dreams, and my brother is convinced that he was possessed or something because he kicked the wall in his sleep, and it woke him up, and his ankle was, like, black and blue.
Oh my
It was
gosh.
kinda crazy. But I'm like, "I think you probably just had, like, a very vivid bad dream from
That
our
sounds
ghost
so
tour."
fun.
But yeah, that was a highlight for sure. Yeah, if anyone sees me at future events, I can come up to me, I'll tell you more. Tell you more.
What fun.
Yeah.
Savannah is considered the most haunted place.
I can't wait.
Yeah. I did the ghost tour with Marguerite when we were
Mm,
there the last time, and it was incredible.
wow. Okay, that's on my
It's a
list.
must do.
Yeah, now I wanna do ghost tours in all of the spooky
Yeah,
places, so unlocked something in me. I need to go experience
that's
more.
fun.
So if
Yes.
you have recommendations out there either too,
Yeah,
like, let me
send them
know.
in.
Send them in. Okay. Well, let's dive in to our news for the week. So, as I'm sure a lot of people out there know, April is National Occupational Therapy Month. We've been doing posts every week with some kind of at-home tips and tricks for, your own easy OT slash PT, I guess, activities that you can do with your loved one. But we also talked a little bit more about it in our Pulse newsletter. So, occupational therapy is designed to help people build and practice the skills needed to navigate their everyday living. Occupational therapists help their clients develop the fine motor skills to fasten buttons and zip jackets, as well as provide tools to manage thoughts and emotional regulation. While early intervention is essential to our loved ones with PWS, it is also a therapy that can benefit many throughout their lives. As again, I'm sure a lot of people listening know, my sister, Christy, is an OT, and we talked to her last year in April, and we kind of brought back around some of the insight that she had given. So we pulled a quote from that interview we had last year, and she said, at its heart, occupational therapy is about empowerment. It's about helping people participate more fully in the activities that give life meaning, whether that's getting dressed, forming friendships, or simply feeling at ease in one's body and environment. For individuals living with PWS, OT provides essential support for developing a more independent lifestyle, confidence, and well being. And we will have a link to her full kind of recap of her interview and tips that she gave at the link in our show notes. And if you're interested in reading some firsthand accounts from parents on how occupational therapy helped their loved one with PWS, we'll also have that link in our show notes as well. And I encourage you, if you haven't seen them or read through them yet, to go back in some of our social posts to read through some of those tips that Annie has put out. There's some really good ones and some really easy ones you can implement. So yeah, all around, a lot of good information about OT and how important it is.
Fun fact, I originally went to college for OT.
Very cool.
Yes, it's fascinating,
It is.
and if I could pass chemistry, that's where my life would have went, rather than this amazing journey that I actually feel so much more blessed to have
Right.
followed.
Yep. Yeah. You landed exactly where you were supposed to land, Stace.
I
Absolutely.
agree.
And I feel like my sister landed exactly where she was supposed to be with OT. She does such an amazing job. And I'm gonna definitely pick her brain more in the future. And I'm trying to get her to go like PWS
That would be
specialty as well. I'm
incredible.
always throwing in her head. She's currently at a like assisted living home working
Yeah,
with older adults, but
where
she's
ADLs are
definitely got
super important.
yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely. But she has that passion for that rare care and helping people with developmental disabilities, so I think I can get her there. So stay
would be
tuned.
amazing. She should come to conference next year.
I know, I've talked to her about that too.
Oh,
We'll see. I think I can convince her to do almost anything, honestly.
I
She's
love that.
she's always down to help. All right. So moving on to our spotlight on PWS. This one is really perfect because it happens to fall on National Volunteer Week, which is started yesterday, goes through this week. So we at PWSA, we're so incredibly grateful to our volunteers. I don't think we can shout that loud
Yeah.
enough.
We can't do what we do
No,
if it wasn't for all of our volunteers,
right.
and we're just so incredibly lucky to have hundreds of people who are just invested in our mission and stepping up and asking how they can do more and how they can help.
Yep.
Really, really incredible.
Completely agreed. These individuals, like Stacey said, they show up in a variety of capacities. They help us carry out our mission. And some are older parents, well versed in the intricacies of the PWS community. And some are newer parents who are willing to dive into the pool of fundraising and awareness pretty quickly into their new journey with PWS. And one such volunteer is Lorelei Benninghoff, who's mom to Nora, and Nora is 3 years old living with PWS. And Lorelei hosted an amazing fundraising activity campaign for us, and it was the Mermaid Marathon where she swam so many miles, I think 1,000? Oh, laps, sorry.
Laps,
She swam
1,000 laps.
1,000 laps for PWS and hosted a fundraiser around it. And we are so appreciative to Lorelei for that. And someone submitted a volunteer spotlight on all of the work that she did around this. And we're going to have a link to read that in our show notes. But really, to, a big blanket thank you just to everyone who has volunteered, continues to volunteer, and will volunteer for PWSA. We're so grateful.
Absolutely. One of the things I loved about Lorelei's fundraiser was how creative it was.
Yeah.
It was just very fun in watching her journey.
Mhm.
It was really, really cool to
Yeah.
watch. I loved seeing that kind of creativity
Yeah.
come from our volunteers.
Yeah, and it is just whatever you love and enjoy or a hobby or what you're good at or what you enjoy doing, you can build awareness campaigns, fundraisers around any of it.
Anything.
Melanie and Katie will help you do that.
Yes, they
And Lorelai's a great example of that. And then we have a PWS resource spotlight to share. We have a new PWS treatments webpage. It was due.
it's a
Was
long
due
time
on our
coming.
website. Yes. So I'm really excited that we've published this, made it live for the community to look through. The page provides an overview of commonly discussed treatment options, along with links to additional educational resources and then ongoing research efforts. At this treatments page, you can learn more about VYKAT XR, the only FDA approved treatment for hyperphagia, and growth hormone, among the most extensively studied treatments in the PWS population. At the page, you'll also find answers to frequently asked questions about treatments, providers, and how PWSA can support your family. So we'll have a link to our treatments page in our show notes for you to go check out.
Thank you for all the work that you guys have done to put that page together. I think it's really
Yeah.
so amazing and it's so helpful for everybody. Let's move along to PWS Awareness Month, which is only a couple weeks away now. PWS Awareness Month is May 1st through May 31st, just right around the corner, and we want to help you all make the most of it. PWSA USA's PWS Awareness Month Hub, which is a place on your website, is a one-stop destination for everything that you need to raise awareness with friends, with your families, and with your community. And inside, you'll find things like downloadable graphics, a daily PWS fact toolkit, 15 ways that you can get involved, 15 for the 15th chromosome. I love that. And just information, general information about Prader-Willi syndrome. There'll be PWS awareness attire, a proclamation toolkit to bring awareness to your city or state, a place to share your loved one's story, and so much more. We'll have a link to that in the show notes as well. So this year we've added something new to our Awareness Month activities, and it's called United in Action. It's a nationwide awareness and fundraising initiative built on just the simple idea: change starts with the people who are already in your life. By engaging friends, family, coworkers, and neighbors, you'll help expand understanding of PWS and strengthen the resources families rely on every day. One state, one family, one moment at a time. Extend PWS awareness across your community by creating a personal fundraising page. It's really, really simple. I did this in less than 2 minutes. I created a page by clicking the Take Action button, build a page here on our website, on our United in Action webpage. You can customize it. You can add your story. My story is very short. Other people's stories are very long. You can make that as long or as short as you want it to be. Is honest and personal is really important, but also share whatever you feel comfortable sharing. Mm-hmm. And then all you need to do is share your page on social media with a short message about why this work matters to you, and then invite others to visit your page. So the way that I'm going to be doing this is I'm going to be in DC for the DC fly-in the first week of May, and I am very, very excited. And I always share pictures of the meetings that I have with representatives, and then I'm just going to add a little link there for my United in Action page. Super, super easy. It's a no-pressure way to share awareness and allow people to make a donation should they be moved to. And there'll be a link in our show notes to talk you through how to do that and how to create your page.
Yeah. And just to add to this, Stacey, I feel like a lot of times, and honestly, it's something I've heard consistently since I've started here, is that people will let us know, families in our community will let us know that their friends, family are always asking, what can we do to help? Like, how can we support you? This is such a simple, easy way that you can do that, in addition to helping raise awareness during PWS Awareness Month.
100%.
Yeah, it's such a great way for them to really know how they can help and how they can support. And like Stacey said, it's super easy, couple minutes, and we'll have a link to do all of those steps, easy steps, in our show notes. All right, moving on to some events and fundraisers in the community. We have an incredible event to start with here. It's a United We Brunch event, which we are bringing back this year. Last year was the first year of United We Brunch, and several people are hosting brunches again, and we're so excited to see, how they grow and just that people are willing to do it again. It's such a great event and it's such a fun idea. But the first one we have is Magnolias and Mimosas, which is taking place May 16th at 11:30 a.m. Mountain Time in Colorado Springs, Colorado, at a venue called The Shop. And this event, just like last year, is again hosted by PWS mom, Kat Lucero, who's also an amazing volunteer of ours, board member. She does it all. So we love Kat.
What a pretty name, Magnolias and Mimosas.
Yeah, I know. She picked a good one, and it's so whimsical, and it makes you just want to go and drink mimosas.
It does.
I wish I lived close. So we will have a link to learn more about Kat's event and to purchase tickets or to donate if you're not able to attend in person at the link in our show notes. And just, again, a big thank you to Kat for doing this again and to all the other wonderful families out there who are hosting another United We Brunch event. We will definitely share more about the rest of the events soon. Another really great event that is coming up in May is called the annual Prader-Willi Walk. And I'm going to have Stacy share a little bit about this one because she knows a lot more about it than me.
This one's really special to me. So the Babcock Center is an organization in South Carolina that supports individuals with Prader-Willi syndrome and many, many more individuals with other intellectual and developmental disabilities. And one of the gentlemen that they supported for decades was Andy Maurer, who was one of the original gentlemen on our Adults with PWS Advisory Board. And we lost him maybe 4 years ago now. This walk has become a way for this community to memorialize and honor Andy. And I just think it's so, so special. They proudly continue to do this walk every year in his spirit. Andy was seen as the mayor of their organization, and he was very, very proud of that and would tell everyone and anyone. So this community really, it comes together and they raise awareness for Prader-Willi syndrome. They share out all sorts of information with people in the community, some giveaways to get people excited, but it really is about bringing awareness to a community that is very much aware of Babcock Center. It's a very large organization, but less aware of PWS. Supporting individuals with PWS is such a small part of what they do. So I love that they make this a priority and that it's such a lovely tribute to Andy, who some of us who know him, anybody who knows him, honestly, or knew him, just miss him dearly.
Yeah. That's incredible that they host this special walk in his honor. I love that so much, so much. I'm
Me too.
trying not to tear up as you talk through that. And I love that they host it in May. Makes it all the more special. So that walk is taking place May 21st, 10 a.m. Eastern in Leesville, South Carolina. We will have a link to the Babcock Center's website in our show notes. I don't know if they have an events page built on their site, but if you want to get in touch with them, if you're interested in maybe attending or just want to learn more, their information will all be at the website. So feel free to reach out. And then I also wanted to just give one more shout out and reminder that Soleno Therapeutics is hosting a PWS Community Day in Miami, Florida. And that's taking place on Saturday, April 25th from 1 to 4 p.m. at the Miami Children's Museum. So we will have a link to register in the show notes, and you can also find more details there as well.
What a fun place to do the community day.
Yeah, I love that. I think the last one was at a children's museum too. I can't remember what city it was in, but I know.
Philadelphia.
Philadelphia, thank you.
Yes, I was supposed to go to that and had gotten sick.
Oh, no.
Travel. Yeah, I was very, very disappointed.
Yeah.
I love a good museum.
Absolutely. And it's like such a great place for kids to be able to go play and like enjoy themselves as well as, connect with others. So that'll be an exciting one. Yeah. April 25th. Hope to see you there. And if you've been listening to past episodes of the podcast, you know that beyond these 3 events, there are so many others that are coming up throughout the year. And we have them all listed on our events page on our website. So we'll make sure to have a link to our events page in our show notes as well.
All right, well, let's move along to advocacy. The 2026 DC Fly-In is almost here. I cannot believe that for the 3rd time, PWSA USA is bringing the Prader-Willi syndrome community to the nation's capital to do something incredibly powerful. We're putting real faces and real stories in front of the decision makers who can create real change for our loved ones living with PWS. The 2026 DC Fly-In, held May 4th through the 6th at the Yours Truly DC Hotel in Washington, D.C., marks our 3rd Fly-In event, and it's our largest yet. Nearly 200 attendees, including PWS parents, caregivers, siblings, family members, industry partners, and, most importantly, individuals living with PWS, will gather to raise awareness during PWS Awareness Month and advocate for change on Capitol Hill. This event has grown so much since its launch. In 2022, 51 attendees participated in roughly 75 congressional meetings. By 2024, 139 attendees completed 131 meetings. And this year, we anticipate nearly 200 attendees participating in more than 150 congressional meetings. It's a true testament to the growing strength and determination of the PWS community. On May 5th, attendees will take part in a policy dive, a preparation session where the PWSA staff and expert speakers walk through our 3 legislative asks and equip attendees to confidently present those asks to their members of Congress. On May 6th, which is going to be our Hill Day, the attendees are going to take those asks directly to Capitol Hill. This year, our 3 asks are going to be 1, supporting funding and report language in the fiscal year 2027 for the FDA Rare Disease Innovation Hub. Number 2 is the Genomic Answers for Children's Health Act, which is HR 7118, if anybody would like to look that up. And then the third, which is the one that's really special to me, is the Keeping All Students Safe Act. The idea of that is protecting students from the harm of seclusion and restraint. The DC Fly-In is one of the most powerful gatherings in the PWS community, where personal experience meets public policy and where our community's collective voice becomes a force for meaningful, lasting change for everyone affected by Prader-Willi syndrome. Now, registration is closed for this year's Fly-In, but we will have a few opportunities for those who aren't able to attend with us in person to still participate. And we look forward to sharing more of those details about the Fly-In leading up to the event, as well as a recap of our time on Capitol Hill later in May.
I'm so excited to go again, Stacey. It is by far my favorite event that we do.
An incredible experience. And when I look at my experience and my interactions with our policymakers, whether it's individuals in New York State or other states where I have the opportunity to interact with them, it is amazing to me how much we have changed who they see us as.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody knows who PWSA and what PWS is now. It is incredible that in just 5 years, we've made that amount of change.
Yeah.
Very, very
Same.
cool. For those of you who are planning to attend the DC Fly-In, we do have some office hours coming up. So you can meet with our team to ask them questions and help shape the story that you're sharing with those elected officials. Office hours will take place on Mondays from 12 to 1 Eastern, Fridays 4 to 5 Eastern, and they began on Monday, April 6th. Sessions are led by the Director of Community Engagement, Dorothea Lance, who you all know and love, and our advocacy specialist, Elaine Toll, who I think at this point, everybody knows and loves. Elaine has been an incredible addition to the advocacy staff here. So we're going to have the link to register for those office hours and to join them in the show notes as well.
And in some family support news, we have a really special, speaking of Dorothea, we have a really special blog to share first. And in addition to April being Occupational Therapy Month, it's also Autism Awareness Month. So many of our, loved ones have dual diagnoses of Prader-Willi syndrome and autism, and a few of them actually have stepped up to share their stories in blog form. So Dorothea is the first one that we shared, but we have at least one more, maybe 2, that are going to be coming out soon as well. So I encourage everyone to go read those when they get posted. So in our most recent blog, Dorothea, again, our Director of Community Engagement, and mom to Hunter, shares some of her experiences with her son who has been diagnosed, again, with both PWS and autism spectrum disorder. Through her story, we can see how to navigate the challenges of a dual diagnosis with compassion, determination, and grace. And Dorothea is such a well-spoken, really makes it easy to understand individual in her storytelling. So I love what she did with this article, and we really appreciate her being vulnerable and open with it. So we'll have the link to read more about Hunter's journey and Dorothea's journey in our show notes. And then our Ask Nurse Lynn of the week centers around cataplexy evaluation. And the question submitted to us is on behalf of a male who is 1 year old with an imprinting subtype. The question submitted is, my son will be playing and then lose all muscle control. head bobbing, falls over, almost like a little drunk person, which is not normal. He has extremely good muscle control, always on the move and into everything. He crawls everywhere, is standing and cruising along furniture. He had a 2-day monitoring on EEG, and it's not seizures. Completed blood panel, and everything came back normal. It would only happen once every few weeks, but lately it's been happening more and more. We didn't know if it was a PWS thing, but we are lost. I have videos if needed. And Nurse Lynn, as always, has a great response to this, and we will make sure that's linked in the show notes for others to go and read through. And while you're there, we also have a form that you can submit your own non-emergency medical question for our wonderful Nurse Lynn.
And I would just stress that we really want those to be non-emergency. If
Yes.
you're having an emergent question, please call our hotline. Do not submit that through the Nurse Lynn.
Yes. Good reminder, Stacey. Thank you.
As we move into the research section, we have another new Voices of VYKAT interview to share with you.
And now our PWS United segment, Voices on VYKAT. While PWSA USA does not endorse any specific treatment, we recognize the importance of sharing information about options available to the PWS community. Decisions about medical care should always be made in consultation with a qualified healthcare provider. Please visit www.vykatxr.com for information on use and potential side effects.
Could you go ahead and introduce yourself? Tell the community who you are.
Sure. My name is Kat Lucero, and I have a child with Prader-Willi syndrome.
Awesome. So thanks for being here, Kat. I know talking about treatment is really exciting now that we have the opportunity to actually talk about treatment, but it can also be daunting to have to really think about all of these things. So I appreciate you taking the time.
Thanks for
Can you
having me.
walk us through your experience getting VYKAT prescribed for your loved one?
Sure. Well, first, I want to say I just, thank you for having me. And second, as far as the experience with it, we were so excited and we couldn't wait to get on board with it. We got the message in March. It was so exciting. And it was like, when can we get this? When can we get this? And we knew that there was going to be probably some lag time. So we actually went on it in September of 2025. So we were able to get it prescribed through one of the prescribing doctors, who was out of state, who he sees on a regular basis, like on a yearly basis. Then we were connected to the pharmacy, and it was a Panther pharmacy, and it has been flawless ever since. So
It's amazing.
yeah. So I would say that it was not, I thought it was going to be just this horrible experience with like phone calls back and forth and this, having phone tree and stuff, dial one, dial two, but it was nothing like that.
A lot of people talk about how different that process of prior authorization and insurance coverage has been through Panther versus their experiences with growth hormone. So I've heard people say they've been hesitant to try VYKAT because they just don't want to have to deal with someone else and go through the same process. So I love every time somebody says that the process was flawless.
Yeah, it's been really great.
That's awesome. Since your son has been on it since September, you've gone through the titration process. What did that look like for you guys?
Actually, it was really simple. They send you like a calendar. And so, you go through whatever the prescribing dose is. And I believe it was, I don't know if it was like 2 weeks to 4 weeks or something like that. And they would just increase it and we would check blood sugar levels to make sure his blood sugar was okay. We would make sure that there was no swelling. I mean, we were constantly checking in with him. And I think that, we're still doing that. Honestly, probably not as much as we should now. And only recent will our dosage increase again. So we got to what we thought was kind of like our maintenance dose, but then we were able to, so I guess as this process has gone on, and I'm sure you'll probably ask me about this later, but we have an actual prescribing doctor now in our state. So she is actually going to be increasing. So I'm not quite sure what the method behind that is, but the titration process has not been difficult either. I thought that we might see some different things because I had heard stuff, but I think that it's really based on your child, really.
100%. Every kid is different and metabolizes the medication differently. Side effects are going to look different. My understanding was that titration was tied to weight. So is there a weight change?
So it's interesting because there's really not. So I
Okay.
don't know if she's going off of. I'm trying to look back to think when we had that maintenance cut off, but I feel like he has pretty much maintained probably that same weight. Maybe she's thinking, I don't know,
It could be
height,
height. And
height
with,
too,
the other things going on, height is going to be different now.
because he just had a surgery that increased his height. So
Yeah. That's interesting. That may
yeah.
be playing a role. Have you noticed any side effects?
At first we're like, is this actually working? Because we didn't know whether or not how soon are we going to see something? And, of course we're like, every little thing. Oh, well, is he asking for more food because is this part of it? Because you hear all these different things. And I think that that's why I disconnected myself to any Facebook group because I hadn't really been part of that. And I don't actually know if I really am right now. So I kind of we're gearing it towards solely him. And we kept, the people at Panther and their pharmacists, if you choose to speak to them, they reassure you, just give it some time. And that's what we did. And I would say he definitely has less anxiety around food and doesn't ask about, seconds or doesn't ask about who's eating what or how much food is on somebody else's plate. Now, I can notice if a dose was missed because then that does happen.
That's interesting.
So I don't know if that's just me, but I'm like, did he get his dose? I don't think he did. So, and actually, I ended up having to put a huge piece of paper on our cabinet because my spouse is terrible with medications that aren't like the growth hormone. So it's in like red letters, both for my oldest and my youngest, that say, please give meds because we do them in the morning. So
Mhm. One of my questions for you later on is actually, what would you like to tell parents? And it sounds like having those kind of tips is really helpful.
absolutely, getting on the right page with your spouse or your partner or family if they're taking care of them because we went on a trip and we had family members taking care of him. And just knowing that they were diligent, they asked, when does he get it? And we don't have an exact time that we give his medication, but we do it at breakfast time.
Okay.
So, you know, and I know people that do it in the evening. So I think
Yeah.
it's just entirely up to whatever your schedule is available to give.
Yeah. What are some of the positive improvements? So you said less anxiety. Are there other positive things? So, somebody had shared they saw, being able to transition from one activity to another seemed to be easier. And that was not something that they were looking for.
I think that, yes, I think he's more flexible in his mindset. Now that you say that, I do believe that he's more flexible in his mindset. I feel like he's able to allow himself to be, I don't know, around food and in the kitchen more. I mean, he's always been in the kitchen with me and stuff, but like be in the kitchen more without really asking a lot of questions about it. It'll be interesting to see what happens over the next several months since he's had his a spinal fusion. So
Mhm.
to see how that growth and that weight change. I've noticed him very health conscious more recently. So
Dang.
so it's really, I don't know if he's just like, oh, it's my new body, because he's actually mentioned that to somebody, which I thought was very hilarious. So,
He is at that age too, to be paying attention
yes.
to those things.
So let's see, or what else have we seen? When we had like initially put him on I feel like the scoliosis was really hindering him from doing a lot of stuff. So honestly, I feel like because he really wanted to do more, and I think that that was the biggest thing. Like he
Mhm.
was adamant with his activities with karate and stuff. So he was like really wanting to do more. I really feel like that was one of the biggest things that we also saw was that his activity had boosted.
That's
I don't know.
fantastic.
Yeah, so I don't know. Again,
Well,
I think that it's really neat.
it makes me think, when the food noise quiets,
Mhm.
you can think about other things.
Right. Yeah, and he's very hands-on with other stuff and wants to do other things. He's not like, it's so interesting because his little brother is very like, oh, it's snack time. Oh, it's lunchtime. Oh, it's this. Oh, it's that. And he's like, well, I'm not hungry yet. And that was the other thing that I have noticed is he was like,
Wow.
I'll just wait because his younger brother was just like, actually, I think it was just last week, he had asked about snack time and he was like, we just ate. How can you be hungry? So that was shocking.
Wow. That's very cool. Have you ever heard him say something like that before?
No, he's usually on board with whatever his brother wants to do. So he's like, oh, well, if he's going to get fed, well, I want to get fed.
I want to too.
Yeah.
That's awesome. What do you think has been the biggest impact adding VYKAT, whether it's positive or something challenging, kind of your overall care plan?
I think just the incorporation of it into our daily lives that has obviously, gosh, we have to get that regiment. I mean, here we are like 7, 8 months in. And then the impact of it, I think is just, I feel like it could just get better from here, knock on wood. I mean, I don't, as he, ventures on further into middle school or high school or what have you, I don't know what that's going to look like as far as, hormones and stuff like that, because I don't know how that plays out, but it would be I'm really eager to see. I think that this has been a game changer with us and, hopefully a lot of other families too.
If you could tell clinicians or families anything about this, what would you want them to know about VYKAT or the prescription or the process? Like, what do you think people are missing? What do they need to hear?
I think that they need to know that it's not as difficult as they think that it is. Like, because I want to say, I mean, it could have been that I reached out to the pharmacy first. I honestly, it's so much time has gone by, but whatever the path that we took, it was so simplified and it was not difficult. I was told, you must answer the phone right away if you see this number show up. No, they're going to leave a message. They're going to call you back.
Right.
So you become like, you get to know the case managers that call you or, they're wonderful. So don't be afraid to just go forward on it. And even, I mean, we're still going through this appeal issue where we live or with our insurance company, not necessarily where we live, but we're still able to get VYKAT for our child. And I think that that's what other people are afraid of is, oh, well, what am I going to have to pay?
Mm.
So as of now, I don't know how others are getting it or feel about it, but I mean, as of now, ours is covered, and I hope that that continues. And if it's not, I hope we can get it at a very low copay, but
Yeah,
hopefully
I don't know
Medicaid
of
stays.
anybody paying out of pocket for it.
Okay,
I believe
good.
that everybody is either we've been able to get insurance coverage or they've been able to get the support through Soleno to cover it so
I
that
think
they can have it.
it's
And that way nobody goes
amazing.
without drug, which is, that's incredible.
Yeah. And it takes the burden off because you're like, gosh, what else am I going to have to pay for or what, so I don't think
What am I
that
going to give up to pay
right.
for this? Right?
Exactly, because you know that this is it's a life-changing medication, at least it has been for us and some of the other families that I've spoken to, so I think that they just need not to be afraid to make that next step to contact, whether it's the pharmacy or, if they have questions, contact somebody at PWSA USA and, just talk to whoever, so,
Exactly. Yeah.
but
That's amazing. Well, thank you for sharing your story. I appreciate it so much.
absolutely, well, thank you again, if anybody else has any questions, I'd be more than happy to help.
So, in honor of VYKAT XR's 1-year anniversary, PWS community members are invited to register for Soleno's upcoming webinar. Join to learn about the signs and symptoms of hyperphagia and Prader-Willi syndrome and find out if VYKAT XR may be right for you or your loved one. This webinar is going to take place on Thursday, April 23rd from 7:30 to 9 p.m. Eastern, and we will have a link in the show notes for you to reserve your spot. So many people in the PWS community experience excessive daytime sleepiness, and it's a common and challenging part of life for many, many individuals with PWS. And research is underway that may help that. The TEMPO study conducted by Harmony Biosciences is assessing an investigational medication for EDS in individuals aged 6 and older living with Prader-Willi syndrome. The study is being conducted at both centers across the U.S., or from the comfort of the participants' homes, making it accessible for families wherever they are. To hear firsthand what life with EDS and PWS can look like, PWS mom Jen Garcia shares her son Rocco's story. It's a personal moving account of their family's journey, and we'll have a link to that video in the show notes as well. I think with excessive daytime sleepiness, showing those videos is so important.
Mm-hmm.
So many of our loved ones experience that, but it looks different for each one of them. So really grateful to Jen for being willing to share her story and video to help people understand a little bit more about what excessive daytime sleepiness can look like. And then once again, we have a call for clinicians to help us update our database. We are updating our Prader-Willi syndrome clinician provider database. If you're a clinical provider in the PWS community, please fill out the form that's going to be in our show notes. Also, parents, if you have the information for your clinicians, please fill it out. We'd like to be able to give answers to families when they call and say, do you know a clinician in this city or state? Or do you know someone anywhere with this specialty? And right now, our database really is not as encompassing as we would like it to be. So please fill out this information. It's really very, very helpful for our community.
Well, thank you so much, Stacey, for taking the time to fill in for Annie as she is off doing appointments for Freya. And I wanted to ask, not to put you on the spot. I love putting people on the spot. I always say not to put you on the spot, but I inevitably
do. It's a lot of fun.
But if you have a mission moment to end with here, or anything to leave us with, any words of wisdom, we'll take it.
Sure. So my mission moment, I think, really comes from the Prader-Willi Alliance of New York conference. And when I first got involved, and really very involved in PWS and supporting individuals with PWS, and not just through Catholic Charities, but more at both the national level and at the Alliance level, I met two little girls who were 3 years old living with Prader-Willi syndrome. And they were the first children that I had the opportunity to really spend time with. And I had the opportunity this weekend to see one of them and spend time with her. And she's now 21. She'll be 22 in July. And it was so special to spend time and catch up and be able to talk with her and not just mom about life and the things that she's most excited about. And it reminded me again that it's so important for me to, as in this role at CEO, I become further and further away from the hands-on. And having those opportunities reminds me why we do everything that we do and how important it is for me to continue to get that face time and hear firsthand what matters from people living with the syndrome as well as their families. So that was really, really special for me. And shout out to Maya. It was so good to see you.
Thank you for listening to this episode of PWS United. If you want to learn more about Prader-Willi syndrome and how PWSA USA is making strides in advocacy, family support, and research, visit www.pwsausa.org. And while you're there, we encourage you to sign up for our Pulse email newsletter to stay informed about the latest news, resources, and events. Don't forget to subscribe to the PWS United podcast so you never miss an episode. Our team is always available to support families and their loved ones living with PWS 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. You can call us at 941-312-0400 or email info@pwsausa.org. Catch a new episode next Tuesday, and until then, have a great week.